hello. Welcome to Media Queen TV. We have a hot topic for you today, business wisdom, strategies for success, and a fantastic guest with us all the way from Melbourne. We have Clive and Enever with us here. Welcome to the show, Clive. And we have a little bit about Clive first before we chat with him about this topic. Now, Clive is he's a business strategist and he helps people discover the clarity needed to better identify, engage more effectively, and convert more of their ideal client. He's the strategy lead of Enever Group, which is home to the Business Wisdom Vault, a membership designed to give direct guidance from Clive, along with a powerful library of tools, resources, and expert strategies. He's also the co-founder of Business, a community of more than 30,000 business owners who learn, connect, network, and do. They take action. He's also the author of Business Wisdom Strategies for Success and produces the annual Strategic Planner. There's that great book there. He mainly helps small to medium-sized businesses, helps them gain clarity, build structure, and create a business that supports the life they actually want. And he has his own podcast, and he recently interviewed me on his podcast. So welcome to the show, Clive. Great to have you here. So let us know about your podcast, and then let's get into some of your background.
Delighted to be here. Thank you, Aldwyn. And the podcast, actually, I have several, but the one that we were talking on was Business Owners Podcast. And the reason for the Business Owners Podcast is, now, most of the viewers here won't recognize this, but I've been around a little while. And in having been around a little while, dealing with business people, I've discovered that an outstanding thing about business people is typically in small business, they think, oh, I can't go and talk to that business because they're too big, or I can't go and speak with Aldwyn because she's an expert in her field and I'll feel silly. Well, the interesting thing about humans is we're all dashed silly until we find out something and we learn something. So all we're doing is talking to people. It's not a big business. You've got to talk to a person. So that's the point of the Business Owners Podcast, is let's find out who this person is. And when I spoke with you, Aldwyn, we discovered that you've had a very interesting life, and I'm sure there's a tremendous number of people out there in business who could relate to that. They could see themselves having a life similar to that, overcoming issues. Who'd have thought a human would have issues to overcome? But we find ourselves confronting issues. We have to make decisions. We have to overcome this to achieve that. It all gets very confusing. But if we go and speak to Aldwyn, we'll find out working social media is probably not all that hard, because we can give it to her.
Oh, thank you, Clive. Thank you. Well, my background is traditional media, over 20 years as a journalist. And gee, the world of media has definitely changed. And, you know, more than ever, it is a time where people follow people and they don't know who to trust because of the proliferation of AI, this AI world. The AI scams are going through the roof. The cybercrime alone this year is around $25 trillion in cybercrime. And so people really want to get to know people before they do business with them. It is ultra important now more than ever. I'd love to hear, Clive, some of your background of how you got into business in the first place.
Very interesting. When I was a lad, I'm son of a dairy farmer, and I wanted nothing more than to tend to the animals, look after the pastures, make sure the fences were in good condition, keep the milk going to wherever the milk went, etc. And then at about 15 and a half, I had something of a revolution in my mind. I'm the sixth of 7 children. I'm the third of 4 boys. 200-acre dairy farm. Clive's not going to be a farmer. So you have to figure out what you're going to do. And I thought, well, perhaps I could be a lawyer. That would help people. And I looked at that, and then I thought, well, hang on, that's inside all day, every day. I'm an outside boy. Cutting a long story short, I joined the Victoria Police. And after a tad over 5 years in there, I realised one day that perhaps there might be a more positive way to live one's life, to meet people who are more happy in the world rather than the ones we were dealing with. So I got out of that and decided, okay, now I have to learn how to be a civilian. That wasn't actually easy, but I figured it out eventually. And as part of that journey, I went up to Queensland and I spent a bit of time in Queensland having a jolly good time. But eventually, of course, you run out of money. So I thought, oh, perhaps I'd better do something else. Another long story cut short, I answered an ad in the paper, went along to an interview. This fellow told me he could turn me into the best salesman Australia had ever seen, which didn't go down all that well. My father had trained me very, very well. Salesmen are liars, cheats, and thieves. So,
yes, that's definitely the impression a lot of people have of salespeople, and they are definitely out there like that. That's for sure.
Indeed. And so this fellow wanted me to start on the Monday. This was a Thursday. And as I walked across the road to my car, having told him, no worries, mate, I'll give you a call. And I put my hand in my pocket and I felt that I had $4.50. $4.50. Okay. I started Monday. So here I was, a salesman, and having absolutely no idea what I'd got into. And this particular group, their American group, they taught me their method of selling, which I found very offensive because it was very aggressive. And in my view, whilst it helped people, it didn't provide the sort of help that I like to provide, that is, find out what a person actually wants and make sure you can help rather than shove something down their throat. So anyway, I spent 5 years wrestling with that while I figured out what makes a person buy things, what motivates them to do things. All of these sort of things are really important. And then I got headhunted, and I discovered that all of these things I'd been working out were transferable across businesses, across industry, across product types. Didn't matter whether it was tangible or intangible. If you understand how to sell stuff, it doesn't matter what you sell, except that you better be passionate about it, because otherwise there's no point being there. And it better help people.
Yes.
Otherwise you fit into that category of liars, cheats, thieves.
True.
Anyway.
Yes.
So in discovering that, I then got headhunted more and more. And with a lot of traveling, so I spent 10 years on the road, traveling here, there, and every dash where. And I figured, I don't need this. I can pick a place, settle down. What will I do? I'm a pretty steady fellow. I'll become a real estate agent. So I went into real estate, got some people who told me, yes, they'd teach me how to sell houses. That was an interesting journey.
Wow.
Bored silly after 9 months of that. So I set up my own business selling businesses. And the reasonable question is, what did you know about business, Clive? Nothing. I understood how to sell. I didn't know anything about business.
Interesting.
And after a decade of that, one of the people that I'd sold for and to a number of times came into my office one day and told me a story about this product that he had. And he wanted to introduce it to the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm sort of thinking, well, yeah, you don't need to tell me all this information about what you're doing. I've got the idea. It's okay. Move on and let me find something to sell to you. Cutting a long story short, a few weeks after that conversation with me, having him delivered a number that would cost me to go and do it because that's what he wanted, which I thought was insurmountable, I was in Melbourne introducing a new product to the pharmaceutical industry. And from there, I got headhunted more and more to go into businesses and change the way they operated, the culture of the business, change the way people sold things. That worked pretty well because you're changing revenues in the tens of thousands a month into the hundreds of thousands a month. That was fairly common, so that was good. And then I got tired of shifting all the time to do that. So what could I do? Well, I could help ordinary people with their business, help them understand all these things that I understand that apparently very few do. So that's how I got into being a business strategist and coaching, mentoring. When was that? 21 years ago, 22 years ago, something like that.
Wow, what a journey.
That's a short version of my journey, Aldwyn.
Oh, thank you. Some of the most loved professions there along the way. I could see it's almost, like being a lawyer or a journalist, some of the most respected, most loved professions. And here we are. And business, of course, is one of the most challenging things that we will do. I'm curious, along your journey, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen business owners make?
The biggest mistakes I've seen business people make. Okay, there's only one.
Only one. Okay, what is that one? I'm so curious.
They think they're their customer. That's the biggest error. Look, there's dozens of others, but they seem to all spring from that one. That because I like something doesn't mean that you will. Because I like it done this way doesn't mean that you will. And just as I was taught how to sell, it doesn't really matter what you would prefer. What you need is the product that I can provide. And my journey showed me that that's rubbish. That's why we are where we are. What we need to do is to, discover who are we? Who are we really? Now, having done that and identified what we want to do, who will want to work with us the way that we want to work? And that's where you start to get into the nitty-gritty and make discoveries about people and who might be a client and who might not be a client, which is, again, we go to, what does Clive work with? He doesn't work with an elevator pitch, for example. He works with a qualifying statement. What on earth is a qualifying statement? A qualifying statement is something that you can say to another person which will create a concept in that person's mind if they are interested in what you have. But if they're not interested in what you have, the reaction you will get is typically, "Thanks, Clive, I just need to go and see Aldwyn." Which is a really good outcome because you're not wasting time talking about things that somebody doesn't want to know about, boring them, and all the time trying to make yourself feel as though it's important that you tell these people what you're about. If they're not interested in what you're about, don't waste their time because you're only wasting yours. So all of these little things come into it. It's, who am I? What do I do? Who do I help? You read and hear all the time about you find your ideal client. Well, how do you find your ideal client? Well, typically you use demographics. Now, so your ideal client is somebody who went to this level of schooling, who lives in that sort of suburb, who has this much disposable revenue, who has this sort of motor car. Okay, well, if that's the description of your ideal client, why do we spend so much time talking to the wrong person? You see, you introduced me as helping people discover the clarity needed to better identify, engage more effectively, and convert more of their ideal client. That's a qualifying statement, because if a person to whom I'm speaking has an interest in gaining greater clarity about whatever it is that they do, preferably about their ideal client, wants to engage more effectively and wants to convert more of their ideal client, or any one of those things, that's someone I can work with. Now, having a person identify to you, I am your prospect, which is essentially what they say if they engage, that means that the dynamic has changed. I'm no longer trying to convince Aldwyn that she should work with me. I know she wants the outcome I provide. All I have to work out now is, do I want to work with Aldwyn? So it changes the dynamic entirely. It stops wasting time. It gets better results. Everybody feels happier, especially the people who don't want what you got, who had to sit through half an hour of you trying to tell them.
Yes. Yeah, we tend to, sometimes just, as they say, pray and spray all over people. Or, we tend to just, tell people what we think that they need, but we don't really know unless we ask the questions. And we're all coming from our own filters of what we think people need. And you don't really know what's going on for people, interestingly. And you can't really judge a book by its cover either, interestingly. So yes, I think keeping an open mind there and being really clear on what people actually want in the different demographics and who you want to work with, I think is really important. I want to welcome all our live viewers here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube right now. I can see Zainab Semiyu, maybe is how you say that. So she had a good laugh with some of your jokes there. Thank you, Zainab. Thank you for joining us there on LinkedIn. Good to see you. Yes, this is a very interesting business wisdom gained over 20 plus years of your time in business, being very clear on who you serve and what they actually want. So in saying that, what are some good ways to really discover what people want? What are some good questions to be asking when you get in front of someone, whether it's at a networking meeting or, whether you're, have someone that approaches you and wants to use your service? What are some good questions to ask?
Before you actually get to asking the questions, you have to make sure you've got two of these and one of these and use them in that proportion.
Yes. Listen twice as much as you speak, yes.
Yes, because it's all about listening. In fact, people who work with me through one of my programs, or virtually any of my programs, are all exposed to people having conversations and understanding why the conversation went the way that it went, and so on and so forth. There are a number of people out there who want to tell us how to have a conversation, and they've made videos about it and put these up, and they've even critiqued their own work. And I'm thinking of one in particular right now who had a conversation with a particular fellow who, on the face of it, was a bit free and loose with his friendships, we might say. At the time of the interview, he was in his 80s, and he'd spent the previous 60 years or thereabouts surrounded by ladies who were typically over 6 feet tall and had the lumps and bumps in the right places, etc. And the interviewer asked him a question, and he immediately was happy to converse. And the question was something like, how did he get started? And he went way back before what his actual business was. He started talking about as a young lad, he followed the normal arrangement. He got married, and he went on to explain that his bride had subsequently gone off and had an affair, which sort of wrecked his view of the world, amongst other things.
Mm.
And there, in Clive's world, is a perfect opportunity to make sure you're using both of these.
Yes.
And go, wow, this is going to be an interesting conversation. What more can I find out? Because he opened up, he was speaking emotionally. What do we want people to talk about? You'll hear a lot of salespeople say, Aldwyn, you're about to make a decision. Take the emotion out of it. Rubbish. The only reason a human does anything, makes any decision, is emotional. So you actually have to have that in there. So here we are having a conversation, and this lady interviewer jumped up and said, oh, I didn't know that. So think about the dynamic of that conversation. Here's a fellow who just opened his heart with something he had obviously not told a lot of people, because otherwise she would have known. And
Yes.
he opened his heart to tell her something special, and she said, I don't care about you, I'm more important.
Wow.
Now, she didn't use those words, but that's what it meant. So what do you do when you're having a conversation? What questions can you ask? Essentially, there are only 6 questions that you ask if you want to have any conversation. Whether you're trying to sell something to somebody or you're simply having a conversation with a friend, if you actually want it to be a real conversation, that is, you're curious, you're listening, and yes, it is a skill that you might have to learn, but listen, learn to listen. The 6 questions. Okay, where can we start? We'll start with what you don't ask. Now, most people will have heard of open-ended questions and closed questions. So what's a closed question, for the sake of it? It's a question that demands a yes or no answer. If you ask somebody a question and they answer yes or no, you have learned absolutely nothing except that they do or don't agree with whatever it is that you've said. That's it. They're really handy when you want to ask somebody, do you want to go ahead? No, I don't. Okay. You haven't done your job right. Yes, I do. Let's do it. Stop mucking around. Otherwise, when you want to learn things, you ask an open-ended question. Now, how can you tell the difference? Well, the difference is this. If you start a question with a verb, do you, will you, have you, it's going to get yes or no, unless they're actually skilled in conversation, in which case they're ignoring what you asked and giving you an answer that they thought of earlier. To have somebody tell you a story which will allow you to determine whether or not you can help, the questions start with what, when, where, who, how, and why. That's it. But I would counsel against using why until you understand what it's all about. When you ask somebody why in the wrong manner, it's very confrontational. And if we're having a conversation where we want to find something out, let's not be confrontational, because it's not going to work.
Yes.
So that's your question. Now, okay, you used your qualifying statement and a person says, I'm interested in that, in whatever way they will. There's usually very particular answers they'll give, but they say, yes, I'm interested in what you have. Now, for them to be interested in that, that person has created an image in their mind of what they want to achieve. Okay, so what are you going to ask? What do you like about what I do? Well, I don't know what you do, so I'm not interested anymore. You see how that didn't go well?
Yes.
What is it that you're really looking for? Now, bear in mind, people are pretty cautious about explaining who they are and what they are. The first answer you get's probably not going to be right. But they will tell you the next question to ask. So now it's, what does whatever you just said sound look like to you? How would you like to achieve that? Okay. Now, some people will tell me that they'd like to achieve such and such in a way that they think I can't deliver. Now, why do they do that? Because they're getting nervous. They think they're going to be sold something. Okay. Now, if you're trying to sell somebody something, that's a legitimate thing. But why are you trying to sell something? We're holding an interview here. We're deciding whether or not I want to work with you, not you want to work with me. You want the outcome that I can deliver, but I might not like the way you want it. I might not like the cut of your jib. There might be 1,000 other reasons I don't like you. But if we have a match, we can work together. But it's all about their goals, their outcomes. It's not about demographics. It's about an outcomes-based identification of an ideal client.
Yes,
Did
it's
that
very
answer your question?
Yeah, that was really good. It's very important to get to the heart of what people really want. And I think sometimes people don't really know what they want. Like a lot of business people say, oh, I just want some more leads and sales, but they don't know the journey to get there. And there's many different ways you can get there, right? I mean, publicity is one way you can get there to bring in leads and sales. That's one way. There's paid advertising is another way. There's networking. There's, many different roads to Rome, I guess, to this. And so then partly it's about also educating people about the power of whatever it is that you deliver or help them with to help them get that outcome. However, very important not to jump to conclusions and to see if there's an alignment too. Sometimes some people you don't want to work with, and that's the beauty of business, is you don't have to work with everybody you don't want to work with. You're not going to be aligned with everyone you come across, and so this is where you can be very selective about who you work with and how you work with them.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. And look, there are many people in this business or that business which might be, on the face of it, supportive of whatever it is that you do. But how many times do we hear from a person in business who said, well, I engaged with this particular business and I didn't get what I wanted? Well, okay. Now, we can say it was their fault. We can say it was our fault. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because another one of Clive's little sayings, immediately blame is apportioned, all hope of resolution is lost. That's the way the world works. However, if we have the proper conversation at the beginning, we can choose, do we go down this path or do we go a different path? What's the proper conversation? The proper conversation is seeing that, okay, I want 1, 2, 3, 4 different things I need to achieve in order for me to go, yep, that's going to deliver my outcome. Well, if we've been clear about that, and the other side has been clear about, yes, that's what I deliver, we've got a high chance of it working. But if we've all assumed along the way that, oh, yeah, they'll be able to do it, but it's not what they do, not good. 2 of these, 1 of these. But how do you get clear on what it is that you want? Because you're right, Aldwyn, most people, not just in business, most people don't know how to, well, some of them don't know what they want. Some know what they want, but don't know how to express it. So that's where the conversation comes in. You have a proper conversation with a person, and they might tell you, I've got a favourite story I use. Okay.
Excellent.
Here I am at the football, and for those who are watching, no, this is not a true story. Clive made it up. Notwithstanding, you might recognise some of your friends.
Okay.
So here I am at the football, and it's been a beautiful afternoon, and my team was playing, and I was there with my friends, and we cheered and we barracked and carried on like you do. And then after the game, we go across to the local hotel for a drink and to relive the game, I suppose. And across the room, I spot Aldwyn, we'll say. And I think, golly gee, there's somebody I'd like to know. So I go over and we have a bit of a conversation. And there's an exchange of telephone numbers. Righto. So a few days later, I ring up. G'day. Have the conversation. Really nice time the other day. You know, what about I take you to the footy on the weekend? Because that's what I do. And obviously Aldwyn's recognised that that's what I do. So no problem. Yeah, he didn't seem such a bad sort of a rooster. We'll go with that. And so you come along to the football, and yeah, it's exciting, and the teams there, you know, play. And everything's going along swimmingly. And so we go out to dinner, and then we go to the footy again, and we do another footy and another. And 20 years later, and 2 or 3 kiddies, my team's finally made it to the grand final. And here we are coming in on the freeway to the big ground. And I'm all about my team this and my team that and my team that. And of course, she's been there with me the entire journey. And all of a sudden, she's gone through the roof. And where the devil did that come from? What's going on here? Well, it's fairly simple, really. In the beginning, the lady had come down from Brisbane to Melbourne. When I said footy, she thought I meant rugby. And she's put up with it all these years.
Wow.
That's how business relationships go sour.
Yeah, well, I mean, she might not have even liked footy in the first place. So...
Exactly. She was only there because he was a reasonable sort of a rooster. But here he is, what the devil? Oh, I wanted to go to a rugby match 20 years ago. Well, why didn't you say?
Oh, my
gosh.
Why
didn't you ask?
Yes.
It's not about why didn't you say, it's why didn't you ask?
And that's where they say, you know, you point one finger at someone, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So where can you take responsibility for how the communication lands for people? And asking those questions at the beginning, actually, you know, do you like footy, for example? And then someone might say, oh, that like football, you know, it could be a European person. Is that football? Oh, no, that's soccer. You know, I mean, it gets very confusing, right? But you know, actually getting clear on what interests someone. And what they really care about, actually getting to know someone rather than just expecting that they're going to like exactly what you like, because that will be a very rare thing that you come across someone that likes everything that you like.
Well, see, that's thinking that you're your customer. You're not.
Yes.
You're not your customer. And you know, that's big learning curve. You are not your customer. Your customer is somebody completely different. They want a particular outcome. You know, if you want to sell commodities, that's fine. Okay, we've got frozen peas. Whoopie-doo. That's exciting. Lots of people want frozen peas, but at the same time, we can. There's a story about that. What a surprise! In Australia, we've got 2 major supermarkets. You got one green one and one red one, we'll say. Now, if I take my little clipboard and I stand outside the red one, and you've come out from doing your shopping, and I say to you questions like, and this is being oversimplified because we haven't got all day, but do you do most of your shopping at this one? Yes, I do. Do you ever go to the other one? Oh, occasionally. Why do you come here? And the answers you'll get are very interesting because they'll tell you that there's a better layout to the store. There's more room in the aisles. There's the prices are better. And if you keep digging, you'll probably find that the staff talk to me.
Mm.
They've got good staff. Now, the inference, of course, is, or the implication, I should say, is that the other mob don't do that. But if I go and stand outside the green one and I ask exactly the same questions, guess what the answers I get are? Exactly the same.
Mm.
So now you say, what's the difference? And the difference is this, and it is the same in every business around the world. And as you know, Aldwyn, I deal with people all around the world, across languages, cultures. It doesn't change. Every business has one thing in common, which actually makes that business different to every other business. Is this where we ask people to send in their suggestions as to what the answer might be?
Yes, they can do that.
On the other hand, I can tell you if you like.
Yes, please. That would be great.
There's a person at the top. That person, whoever that person is, has attracted to themselves a particular type of person which portrays a particular behavior, a particular activity, a particular design style. And it's different to everybody else. And okay, so you look at those two businesses I talked about, what's the difference? Are there differences in the aisle sizes? Well, no, they each think that the other one's bigger, but they're the same.
Mm.
What about the layout of the store? Well, surprise, surprise, they're pretty much the same. What about the prices? Well, surprise, surprise, they're pretty much the same. In fact, they take it in turns to have specials on particular products.
Mm.
And you look into that. Why do they do that? Well, they're trying to take the other fella's customers.
Mm.
That's all. So,
yes.
So what's the difference? The difference is a person. Okay, you've got two businesses selling widgets. Why do you go to this one instead of that one? And you ask people and they'll tell you that, oh, yeah, these ones have got a better red widget than those ones. And other people will say, well, I come here for the green widgets. Well, hang on. They both sell widgets. They both sell the same coloured widgets. What's the difference? The difference is an emotional connection between the purchaser and the vendor. How do you do that? How do you establish it? Well, the person at the top of the vendor side has established a particular behaviour, particular design style. Somebody's attracted to it or they're not. That's it.
Yes, and we tend to like people who are like us as well as people who like us and people who show interest in us as well. And that is very, very interesting. And it made me think of my hairdresser, which recently we have great conversations, as I guess a lot of people do with their hairdressers. You know, you tend to tell them all sorts of things. They become like counselors for you sometimes when you go to the hairdresser. Well, depending how much hair you have, of course. But, you know, because I have a lot of hair to look after, I tend to be there a bit longer. And my hairdresser recently put her prices up about a third of what the price was before. And I was very happy to pay that because I wanted to go back to her to have these conversations because I felt safe with her. I felt that I trusted her. We had a lot of fun. We usually laugh quite a bit as well. And this is the thing, you don't mind paying more when you like the person. And a lot of people will do business with people because they like their energy, interestingly. It's interesting. I just got back late last night from a business networking conference in Sydney, and I was speaking on stage about the new way to market for success. And I got very vulnerable and emotional with some of the things I shared about how I grew up with a lot of negative news and how it impacted my mental health, how I ended up, depressed for a long time. And then fast forward, and I created the Good News Day and then the Global Good News Challenge to help share some more gratitude and good news in the world to help lift the energy. And I shared this journey and some of the areas I've impacted in life, etc. And the number of people that came up to me afterwards because I shared vulnerably on stage. I mean, there's a point that I almost cried, and I never go on stage knowing exactly how the emotions are going to come out, but I know that I always share from the heart. And when I share from the heart, it's amazing how that connects with people. And particularly in this AI-driven world that we're in right now, where robots will never have a heart, although there are people having relationships with robots apparently out there right now. But robots will never have a heart, and this heart-to-heart emotional connection, what we crave more than anything now, I think, and knowing who to trust. And I think when people do share from the heart, I think people trust you more as well because they feel more connected somehow. It's this humanness of our expressing our emotions. And it's interesting, like you were sharing with the story about the footy and the lady that you were wooing and dated, and you did certain things right there as far as you didn't just hop straight into bed with her, because otherwise it probably wouldn't have lasted 30 years and probably wouldn't have had a few kids together. But the fact is that she did not feel confident enough to be able to share what she really wanted, or maybe she was worried about hurting you or upsetting your feelings or whatever it was. And she ended up suppressing and suppressing and suppressing that for so long that eventually she exploded. Interestingly, like my dad always said to me, anger is danger as a child. He said, anger is danger. I suppressed my anger for a long time, which actually led to depression. And while I don't think it's good to, be angry at people to the point where you're throwing things at them and you're actually physically causing harm, I think it is important to express your anger in ways that are going to help you release that anger without actually harming somebody else. And this is the thing, is how often do people actually speak their truth and speak what they really say, what they really want to say, or how long do we just go along with something because we're trying to please other people?
100% correct. That most of the time we start out as little kiddies and we've got these wonderful imaginations, and then we go to school. And there's been a whole bunch of studies on this. Don't shout at Clive. There's studies left, right, and centre that prove that as soon as we go to school, our imagination takes a dive, and it stays dived until we leave school, and then it begins to represent itself, if you like. So, what is this all about? Well, we're taught to fit in. We're taught to not rock the boat. What does that mean? Well, it means that you're taught to not show people what you really like. So you try and be something you think they'd like, which is a recipe for disaster. How do we know? Look around yourself. So we do all those things. And of course, the sort of thing I was talking about earlier, how to listen and things like that, and what you're listening for. In school, they teach us that we should listen. Okay. They also teach us that we should think, but they don't teach us how to think. They teach us what to think. Therefore, how do you know how to express yourself? Well, you're not taught to do that. In fact, most of us are taught to not express our emotions because somebody might take advantage of you because of your emotions. Well, okay. every decision you make is emotional. I recall back, selling properties and businesses for millions of dollars. And people would say to me, I'm making a very logical decision here, Clive. There's no emotion in this whatsoever. And I'm thinking, hang on, I've been working on this with you for however long, fortnight, month, 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Why are you bothering to tell me this? I know what your emotional driver is, and I've known for 10 days. I've known for 6 months. Why don't they want you to think that it's emotional? Because somewhere along the line, they were taught that if you show people what you really, really want, they'll hurt you with it. So you try and do things logically and rationally, where do we end up? Well, driving down the freeway and have the lady next to me go through the roof.
Yes.
You have proper conversations. How do you have a proper conversation? You know what the outcome is that you need. If you're not clear on the outcome, you'll find yourself confused in the conversation. You'll find yourself agreeing to things that you don't want to do. You'll find yourself disagreeing with things that you do want to do. You've got to be very, very clear, who am I? Okay. Amongst other things, I want to be part of the herd. Okay. As you were saying, Aldwyn, there's people who just want to be so much to be part of the herd that they change themselves. Oh, I'll be this because that's what they seem to like. Okay, right. How about we identify, who am I? What is it that I do? What is it that I'm passionate about? When you look at it that way, you go, yes, I'm passionate about, okay, in Clive's case, he's passionate about helping people. He's passionate about helping people understand how to have conversations. Right. So what should he do? Should he just grab hold of somebody and tell them, oh, it's really important that you have a good conversation? That's not going to work because they might not want to have a conversation. You're only offending people doing that sort of thing. But if you understand who you are and what you do and how you do it, who you do it for, you'll express it in your everyday behaviour. Because you express it in your everyday behaviour, and especially if you happen to have a proper qualifying statement and a proper mission statement, you're able to have a conversation with people which allows them the opportunity to say, yes, that's what I want. Or alternatively, no, that's not what I want. Now, it doesn't matter why they don't want it, unless, of course, it's a gut reaction that says, oh, I shouldn't agree to anything, in which case you can explore it. But if somebody doesn't want something and there's an obvious reason they don't want it, get out of their face. Why are you wasting your time? There is somebody who wants exactly what you deliver. Talk to them. You don't have to be rushing around shouting at everybody. No, they don't want to know. Not everybody wants the clarity to better identify, engage more effectively, and convert more of their ideal client. Why would I spend time trying to convince those people that they should? If they haven't reached the stage of understanding in their life that, golly, if I knew more about who my ideal client was, if I knew more about how to have a conversation that was more effective, if I knew how to convert more of my ideal client, then I can't help them. But the person who has reached that stage hears what I say and goes, crikey, where have you been all my life? So it just makes life simple. Why? You're passionate about doing something. Don't let anybody step on your passion. Why do people step on your passion? Because you're talking to the wrong person. You're trying to convince something of something they don't want to know.
And you're allowing people to affect you as well.
When I was a very young fellow, Aldwyn, an old farmer said to me, I don't know what prompted it, it was a long time ago. He said, Clive, never try and teach a pig to sing. And I went, okay. And when I got brave enough, I said to him, why shouldn't I try and teach a pig to sing? He said, because it frustrates you and it upsets the pig.
Yes. And don't try to put lipstick on a pig either. That's not going to go down very well. Lipstick on a pig is still a pig. And I'm sure pigs don't need lipstick, and they have beautiful face. I love pigs, actually. I love pigs. Pigs get a hard rap. They're very intelligent little animals, actually.
They are. And the most important thing about pigs that they got that the story is wrong about is they're classed as being dirty. They're one of the cleanest animals around.
Yes, that's right. There's a lot of misconceptions people have about all sorts of things in the world, and that's why I say question everything, right? Because it's interesting. Just at the conference I was at, it was actually the BX Diamond Conference in Sydney with the Diamond members, and Terry Hawkins was speaking on stage, and she said that whenever you say a strong statement like this is a certain way, add these two words on the end, to me. This is a certain way to me. Okay, so for example, so then when I got up on stage, I said, I can't believe what the government's been doing to the Brumbies, all these beautiful horses. They're shooting these horses from helicopters, and they're the most gentle animals, and they help the environment and all that sort of thing. And so then I noticed myself on stage where I said, the government's doing all these things to our beautiful horses. And I'm noticing that a lot of what the media has been sharing in the mainstream media has not been true to me, right? So I added the to me, and then they all had a bit of a laugh there because, if you can sort of pause for a moment and just say, this is my filter of the world. And so then I did a bit of digging, and we put a press release out that went against the mainstream media story, which then went viral on social media. It got shared by Aussie Daily, and there's a whole lot of other people, it seems, that also agree with a different point of view to what the mainstream media has been sharing, interestingly. And people do the best with what they know, right? So if they don't know any different, they, like you say with a pig, like a lot of people think pigs are dirty. And in fact, people who eat pork, there's a lot of parasites in pork that people probably aren't also aware of. When you eat pork, there's a lot of parasites. This is where a lot of cultures don't eat pork. They don't eat pig at all. And a lot more people are moving to vegetarian food, even though there's also chemicals sprayed on your vegetables, which is a whole other story again. And then you've got genetically modified food that a lot of people are not aware of either. The seedless grapes, for example, that's a whole other rabbit hole. But, you don't know until you know. And it's the same in business. Coming back to our business strategies, a lot of people kind of start businesses because they don't want to be told what to do by anybody else. And so they end up working their butt off and earning a lot less than they would in a job with someone else often, and because they're following their passions, right? So the idea, ideally, yes, follow your passions, fantastic. However, also look at how you can financially benefit from that. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I made in business in the early days is I did way too much for charity. I did way too much of sponsoring events. I was like running a charity, whereas my business, it felt like I was running a charity. And then I had to pull myself up and go, whoa, learn to say no to certain things, right? Learn to say no.
Yes.
And charity begins at home. And I still do a lot for charity, although nowadays I am much better at saying no to things. So I'm very curious with your book that you have there. What are some of the business strategies that you cover there? You probably mentioned some of them already. What are some other strategies there in your book?
Yes, I probably have covered quite a few of them in short order, but this is a somewhat more detailed version of a few of those. But what I tried to do in putting the book together was to follow along something of the journey that people who end up being okay in business typically follow. For example, chapter 1, being in business. Chapter 2, planning. Because most of the time we get into business without a plan other than I'll do it myself because I can do it better than the bloke down the road.
Yes. Yes. And then ego and there's confidence.
Yes. I know quite well somebody who opened his first business selling businesses because he could do it better than his mate down the road. It wasn't terribly long, and notwithstanding he was doing okay, he needed to go to his mate and say, "How come you've got more benefit out of your business than I've got out of mine?"
That's where humility is sometimes comes the hard way, right?
Yes, indeed. And as you might have noticed, Aldwyn, on the emails back and forth, that on each of my emails there's a little quote from Clive, and one of them is humility. Express humility in all of life.
Yes, I love it. That's where wisdom comes from, right? This is the business wisdom. You don't have wisdom unless you've been through some challenges.
Yes, and there's a few for all of us, and the really good thing about challenges, of course, is that another quote from Clive: circumstances only appear as a challenge if we doubt our ability to overcome it.
Oh, nice. I like that.
And another one that flows on from that: doubt is not to be feared. Doubt is your friend. Advising further research is necessary.
Yes. And I always say everything is hard until it becomes easy. That's always a great one.
Everything's difficult, yes. Yeah. We're all an idiot until we learn something.
Yeah.
I can't go and talk to that person because they'll make me feel bad because they're a professional. Okay, go and figure out what it means to be a professional. They'll tell you.
Yes.
They had to learn how to do it too.
Yes, true. Right. I mean,
it goes on to know your customer. Vision and mission. Okay, why vision and mission? There are three things that your business sits on, three pillars, if you like. They never change. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your business is. They sit on three things: mission, vision, values. That determines your business. And there's an interesting thing about values. Yeah, I'm getting right away from the book again. Everybody who works with me, before we start, I give them a little questionnaire, which is essentially just to show me where they are in their journey. And that way I might start talking at the right, the appropriate level. So one of the questions is, what are the 10 values most important to you? Now, most people provide 7 or 8 values that are important to them. Some can find 10. I have had occasion to have people respond with nothing in that space. Anyway.
Interesting.
But then, after a few weeks of going through the process, we run a values exercise, which, the way it's designed, it tells you exactly what your key values are. What's top, what's next, what's under that, blah, 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 blah. Why are values important? Because values determine what you do in life. They're how you live. For example, if your number one value is your family, for example, but one about 100 down the list is having your shoes properly shined, and you're walking down the street and somebody scuffs your shoe by treading on you, you'll feel a little bit upset about that, but it's not something you're going to go to war over. Whereas if somebody tries and steals your family, you're going to go to war. So understanding what your values are is really, really important. So as we do this exercise to find out what values are, now I've been doing this with average of over 20 new clients every year for 20 something years. So there's a few there. There's a bit of a database there.
Yes.
Typically, 3 of the 10 values listed turn up in the real explanation. And typically they don't turn up in the same spot. So if they're listed as number 1, they typically won't be number 1 in the final analysis. So this comes back to knowing yourself, because if you know who you are, now we can identify what's the mission that you want to perform. Look at Clive's mission. It starts out with what he says in his qualifying statement. What is he here to do? Well, he's here to help people discover the clarity needed to better identify, engage more effectively, and convert more of their ideal clients. That's what I'm here for. And your mission statement should go on from there, explaining more and more about what you do, not the mission statements you typically see out there on the internet, which, a line and a half, and suddenly they they think, what do those mission statements typically say? Well, they typically say, we're the best at what we do, and we're going to knock your socks off. Well, okay, great. But your mission should be more detailed than that. And then, of course, we go on from vision and mission. We talk about sales. And, all these things have to be put in place early in your journey. Processes and procedures. A lot of people, fly by the seat of their pants with every event. Have a process and a procedure for each event so that as it comes up, it's not a surprise. You're not going to get stressed because you just follow this process. And I know it sounds terribly boring, but that's what it is. You make sure you get the basics right so that you can have the fun. Because if you're stressing over delivering whatever it is that you deliver, now your customer is getting anxious. But if you're following a process, all of a sudden you're having loads of fun. So, and then there's the numbers of business, there's time management, there's leadership, there's handling the tough stuff. What's the tough stuff? Well, it's anything that frightens you, really. But there's a way to deal with whatever comes up. It's looking at things clearly, taking it back to your mission. Does it fit within your mission? Does it align with your mission? If it doesn't align with your mission, why are you stressing over it? You got to do what fits your mission. This is what I deliver to my customer. Do I show them how to ride, in Clive's case, do I show them how to ride motorcycles better? No, that's not what I'm good at. But I can certainly tell you how to have a conversation, a more effective conversation that converts more of your ideal client. And, of course, understand who your ideal client is. Because, if you look at the entire market of who wants your product or service, there's a whole bunch of people in there who won't deal with you. There's a whole bunch of people in that group that you don't want to deal with. They might or might not be the same. So there's a lot to go through and understand, but it comes down to being really, really simple. At the end of the day, it's all about simple. The problem, of course, with simple is that it's not spelled EASY. So finding it actually requires quite a bit of effort. But once it's found, you don't have to go away from it. It's always there for you. Mitigating risk. Growth. How do you grow your business? And measuring success. What does that mean? Most people start their business, whoopee-doo, this is what's going to happen. 25 years later, they're very tired. The business has done whatever the business has done. What are they going to do now? Let's build the exit strategy when you begin. Because the exit strategy is the ultimate goal. There's also an article, there's plenty in that book about goal setting. Goal setting of itself is relatively simple. Achieving them is a very different thing. And typically that's where people fall down. They're good at making a goal, but achieving it, okay, they've been thinking about this goal for a couple of days, but now it starts to fade. We don't need to worry about that anymore. The biggest problem with people not achieving goals is they lose sight of it. That's where it disappears to. They lose sight of it.
Yes, they're not keeping it real for themselves. And start with the end in mind. I think of that quote when you share about the exit strategy.
Yes.
Start with the end in mind. Now, for some reason, Clive, I'm seeing your screen frozen. I can hear you really clear. However, your screen seems to be frozen for some reason. Now, for those joining us live, I'd love for you to share. Are you also seeing a frozen screen for Clive, or is it just me? Is it just me? And we do have comments here. Technology is a wonderful thing.
When it works, it's beautiful.
Exactly. It's and your voice. Yeah, that's the weird thing. Gerald is here with us. Gerald Richards on Facebook. The wise have doubt. The ignorant are certain. Yes, isn't that interesting? The ignorant are certain about that they're right. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Hello, Gerald. Good to hear from you.
Yes. The wise have doubt. Exactly. The wise definitely have doubt. Maybe are you seeing a frozen screen there too, Clive? Because
yeah, I've gone completely black on my end, I should say.
Okay. Maybe if I can go through these comments, maybe if you hop off and hop on again and just see if that fixes the issue during the live. I can bring you back in again in just a moment, or I'll just take you out of here and then just see if you can hop back in, or refresh your screen could work as well.
I'll try a refresh.
Try a refresh and see if that works. Okay, and Clive will be back with us in just a moment. Gerald, thank you for this comment here. In a business context, values are the core principles and standards that guide how a company operates. There we are, you're back. We can see you moving again. Excellent. Makes decisions and treats people. We're going through Gerald's comment here at the moment, which is taking over half the screen. I'll go back to the beginning now that Clive's joined.
Gerald's like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Gerald. Appreciate it. In a business context, values are the core principles and standards that guide how a company operates, makes decisions, and treats people. They shape behavior, not just words on a wall. A useful working definition. Business values are the fundamental beliefs that determine what an organization stands for, how it behaves under pressure, and what it will never compromise on to make a sale or hit a target. A few things worth noting about how values actually function in practice. And then there's more to it, which you'll have to go on to the Media Queen TV Facebook page to see the comments, because it doesn't show me here on StreamYard the whole comment there. However, he has put another one here as well. Success in business is giving the customer what they want, not what you want them to have. Yes, Gerald, we spoke about that a bit earlier. Absolutely. And he said Clive was frozen. Okay, great. Well, Clive is now unfrozen. He's come out of the icebox and he's back with us. Thank you so much for that, Gerald. We love Gerald. I've seen Gerald on many networking events over time. Gerald, I must say, you are very consistent in business. You keep showing up, and it's great to see you here on Facebook. And that's the thing. It takes a lot of resilience to survive in business more than, they say, the first 5 years, 80% of businesses fail. And then in the next 5 years, another 80% fails. So if you make it past 10 years, you're in the top, a very small percentage, zero.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, Gerald is actually a member of Business, and he provides some excellent information regularly for people. So it's really important that we have things like that and people like that who can provide information, because somebody needs it. There's always stuff to learn. It's a never-ending journey. What are we here for? Well, in Clive's world, we're here to help another person achieve something. And That's where you start and you finish. And because I think if you do that, if you're helping another person achieve something that they want, the chances are very high that you're going to get the things that you want.
Absolutely. There's a great quote about that too. Help enough other people get what they want and you'll get what you want as well.
Zig Ziglar.
Yes, thank you, Zig Ziglar, for that one.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, I love that. How can you be of service? And the more you're of service, the more it always comes back. That's how the universe works, the law of reciprocity. And I love this values conversation. Dr. John Demartini is someone that I recommend you look up around values. He has some awesome content out there and talks about the importance of values and, of course, your vision, your mission. That's very important as the foundation of your business, to be very clear on what you stand for, where you're going, what you're passionate about. You definitely don't want to be doing things you don't enjoy, because life is too short to be doing that. A third of people die by 65 and 90% die with regrets. And we don't want to be one of those 90% dying with regrets. That's for damn sure. So, Clive, we do need to wrap up shortly. Is there anything else you would like to share on our topic?
The strategic planner for 2027, I'm working on it right now. The planner is something that allows you to monitor your business, grow, gives you lots of clues. And of course, if you're also a member of the Business Wisdom Vault, it means that you can come in and talk to Clive and get support in how you're growing your business. Plus, every month, there's a new part in there, and the planner itself has tutorials that each month to give you a clue as to where you're going, and all you do is you follow the QR code, takes you in and helps you understand, okay, for that month, this is what we're focusing on. And of course, it's a linear development of your business from month to month. I haven't thrown things in there to go, oh, this month let's do this. No. Let's do the planning, then do the execution. Now refine. Let's. So there's lots of things going on there. But by all means, slip across to enevergroup.com.au/business and pick up a copy of Business Wisdom Strategies for Success, because there's a lot more in there that we haven't talked about today. And if you want to work one-on-one with somebody that's been around.
Yes. I'm sure it'd be fantastic to work with you one-on-one, Clive, and get your business under control. And it's particularly good for the bright, shiny object people out there that love to get distracted. You help bring them back into focus by the look of it, and you get them back on track.
Yes, so we can certainly tidy that.
Yeah. I love it, Clive. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant. And what's a favourite quote? You've shared a few quotes earlier. What's a favourite quote or motto you'd like to share today for us?
Sun Tzu, credited with writing The Art of War. First, secure victory, then fight if you must.
Oh, that's really good. Very deep, Clive. I love it, love it.
And some folks might take a while to figure it out, but please figure it out, because when you understand what that is, what it means, that changes how your life flows.
Yes. And what is victory? What is victory for you? And that's getting clear again as to what the game is, right? Because life is one big game, and what is the game you're playing right now?
Yeah, exactly. Indeed, to go further, first secure victory, then fight if you must. If the fellow in that story at the footy had asked the appropriate questions, that relationship might not have developed, which means you wouldn't have had the blow up. But everybody would have had a victory because they were very clear about where they were going.
Yes, exactly. If you don't know where you're going, then any road will take you anywhere.
Right. Yes, that's right. You've got to remember. I don't recall his name, but who wrote Alice in Wonderland? Anyway, so Alice came to a fork in the road, and there was a Cheshire cat in the tree. So she said to the Cheshire cat, "Which road shall I take?" And the cat said, "Where do you want to go?" And Alice responded, "I don't know." then it doesn't matter.
Yes, that's great. I've just
Lewis
looked that up.
Carroll, that was it. Yeah.
Carroll, there it is, Lewis Carroll. I love that. Thank you so much, Clive. And for those who want to connect with me, they can hop along here to a linktree/Aldwyn. In there, you'll find five top tips to gain TV exposure. We focus on positive publicity here at AA Expose Media. So check that out. You can download the free guide there on 5 tips to gain TV exposure and get your message out there. Yes, thank you, Lewis Carroll, Gerald there. Thank you for that. Yeah, so you can connect there. Also, you'll find a link to the Global Good News Challenge. Now, this is free marketing for you. We have a free challenge every single month. We're currently in August 2026, and you can do an 8-day challenge for August, which even if it goes into September, it's 8 days in a row of sharing gratitude and good news. I highly recommend you check that out. We share your videos to thousands of people, so it is great free marketing. And you will feel amazing when you get into gratitude. It's a very simple thing. No matter how much drama and how many challenges are going on in your life right now, there is no challenge too big that we cannot handle, I believe. And I do believe also that everything happens for us, not to us. And so embrace those challenges, welcome all of it, because it's through that we grow. Oh, real name's Dodson. Thank you for that. Lewis Carroll, or was Lewis Dodson? Was it? Oh, very interesting. Thank you, Gerald, for that one. And also, we have an opportunity for you to come on retreat with us. We've got our 20th Animal Action event this year. We're doing a retreat to Dili. We're swimming with whales and other ocean giants. Or you can sit on the boat with an intimate group and you can watch the whales very up close. It's going to be an amazing experience to Timor-Leste in East Dili coming up at the end of October. And an opportunity also to come into our Fear to Freedom book to come and share your story in our next book as well. So reach out to me. You'll see all my links there. Message me on Facebook or on Facebook. My main Facebook account is really good to message me. You can message me on Instagram or LinkedIn. They're all good places to get me, or through the website. Just send through a contact through the website, aaexpose.com as well, which is in there. And my quote today, I'm going to leave you with. Now, there's quite a few good quotes here, but I really like this one by Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. I really love that. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. That's by Winston Churchill. And I'll leave you with one other one here by John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
And another one from Winston Churchill. If you think you're going through hell, keep going.
Yes, like the bison, go straight into the storm, because if you go straight into the storm, you'll get out the other side much quicker than if you just dilly-dally around. You're just extenuating the pain and suffering for yourself. So get it done, get over it. It's like eat that frog first, then get those big tasks done, and then move on. Thank you so much, Clive. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Media Queen TV today. And thank you for interviewing me on your show. And check that out as well, Clive. Where can people see that show there?
They can find that through Business on the Facebook group Business, or they can find it through enevergroup.com.au.
Yay. Thank you so much, Clive. Have an extraordinary day. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. Please follow us on socials, like the Media Queen TV page. Check out the YouTube channel as well. You'll see we've actually uploaded 3,000 videos now on our YouTube channel. We just hit that milestone the other day, and very excited about that, and everyone who's supported us. 355,000 views of our YouTube channel so far. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to our content over the years. Sending you much love. Thank you. And we'll see you again next time on Media Queen TV. Bye for now.